everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and tonight I'm going to be talking about something that I've been kicking around in my head, bouncing off a few people, and that's talking about Home Alone. Now, why the hell am I talking about Home Alone? Well, I keep going to Disney Plus, and I always see it there now, and I always have to remind myself, Disney Plus owns all this shit now. And before even tonight, I was like, well, that means easily, right? They get all these properties and they're going to start making movies off of them or rebooting them or doing whatever the hell they want basically with them. And then I found out when I got home that they're working on something already that's supposed to be out in 2020 that's basically not even Home Alone. I don't even know why why there's even an article about it being a Home Alone anything, when all it is a kid facing down two adults. But just in case anybody gets the idea to maybe do more Home Alone, I came up with my own idea for a Home Alone sequel, where you could basically forget about 3, 4, however many there were. I think there's like 6 Home Alones. And my idea for Home Alone, I just want to put it out there into the ether. And, you could think it's stupid or whatever. Because I just was thinking, forget about a reboot. Forget it. Like, there's enough reboots. Kind of go along the lines of Ghostbusters, not 2016, 2020, Ghostbusters Afterlife, where they're just continuing the story and ignoring some of the things that have come after it, just like they're going to ignore 2016, you know what I mean? And how 2016 ignored them. But we're not talking about Ghostbusters. So what I had my idea for was Macaulay Culkin is never going to be able to get away from this movie. It's just a part of the social consciousness. It's pop culture, classic pop culture. It's never going away. This is going to be a series of movies that are, at least the first 2 anyway, are going to be pretty much talked about until time immemorial. Home Alone, and just a lesser extent, meant to me that those were the first Home Alone, especially, was the only movie from a kid who wasn't allowed to celebrate Christmas. Who never, and by Christmas I mean the present. Let's just get that clear. We never got presents or anything at Christmas time because of my family's religious beliefs. But I remember back when there were real winters here in Illinois, that night when we went to see Home Alone, it was snow outside. It was actually Christmas time, right? It was, everything just kind of felt like the holiday feeling. It was the only time I ever felt that in my entire life, was when we went to see Home Alone. Everybody's in the theater. Everybody's ready for this, holiday movie, taking off your coats, getting settled and everything. So it's a special movie in that respect for me. And so, thinking about what Disney could do with this, and saying off of what I was saying earlier, and like any of my videos, it's probably going to be all over the place. Since he's never going to be able to get away from this movie, right? He still goes on talk shows and talks about it because, hey, somebody pays you to go on a talk show and talk about Home Alone. Go on a talk show and talk about Home Alone. Who cares? Cha-ching. Ride this money train until the end, right? But my idea for Home Alone is to just, I don't know if you should call it 3 or not. Just call it Home Alone something. I haven't thought about a title or anything. I've thought more about the idea. And that is, and believe me, even when I talk about some of this darker stuff that I'm going to talk about, which is definitely my kind of sense of humor, it's actually got some real heart to it, and I really did put some thought into this. In fact, I've been constantly tweaking the idea to fit the narrative that I'm trying to tell, which is that we just jump ahead to the present, where Kevin McAllister is all grown up. He's about my age. He's in his early 40s, around there, maybe a little younger, and he's never gotten over the events that happened in both those movies. It's bad enough that it happened once, and his mother came too late to rescue him, that it happened again and again. Basically, it's all over before anybody comes to rescue him. None of his family ever gets there on time. And how it's a silly, funny movie, but this, years later has carried with him and affected him throughout his whole life, where he does not go anywhere on Christmas time. He stays home. His father felt so much guilt towards never being able to get home to his son, because it was always the mother that was coming back for him, and even she couldn't get there in time. And feeling as a failure as a father, he ends up, really kind of taking special interest in Kevin and kind of ignoring some of the other children, kind of overcompensating for the fact that he just keeps, he felt as a failure as a parent. And so eventually, because Kevin doesn't feel safe, like they like to show that this kid's like a cartoon character and just bounces back. But in the real world, this kid would carry some real emotional scars. And his father and him grow this really special, close bond. Where eventually, as Kevin gets older, him and his father, to kind of help Kevin with the sense of security, actually start a security business. Where they end up making a lot of money. But just like in real life, the actor John Hurd passed away, so would the character of his father. And in that time, though, the rest of the family is kind of, there's been, except for his mother, and there's been kind of a growing distance. But Kevin's basically a multi-millionaire now from this security company that him and his father set up. And he owns a house that's very big house, just kind of bigger than the house that they had when they were kids. But it's more remote. It's out in a place, where nobody can get to him. Because he still feels like people are coming for him. It's why he never goes out for the holidays. He still loves Christmas, but now the whole family comes to his house to visit. Kind of like a reason for everybody to come and visit him during the holidays instead of taking trips to other places. Now, also, the bandits, played by Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, are part of this. Where, as he made his fortune, he found these two guys. He looked them up after they'd gotten out of jail. And they were doing really, really, really poorly. Because they're all busted up. Because just like we don't like to talk about the consequences of the violence in that movie, these guys, what had happened to them after they went to jail is they never physically recovered. They need constant care, and they're now Kevin puts them in a facility that he helps, where his brother actually runs it, Buzz. Now, what we also don't know is that Buzz, as a character, has felt neglected after the events of the first two movies, because the father kind of, he's like the oldest kid, because he's the oldest kid, he kind of gets abandoned by the father in a way to take care of Kevin, which has a growing resentment over the years that they had this special relationship, and he kind of feels left out. But Kevin gave him this job specifically to watch over the two bandits. Kevin considers it, at least, an honor, we're, trying to, in his own way, be close to his brother by trusting him with not only taking care of these guys and making sure they're all right in this facility, right? This, nice nursing home place. Because Buzz, never, amounted to much until Kevin gave him this job, which Buzz resents. He takes the job, but he resents it. So what the hell were their names? What was it? Something bandits. Damn it! How can I not remember? Well, whatever. Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, they're visited by Kevin all the time. They talk about the past, and on the surface, it appears that over time, they've basically forgiven each other. But for Kevin, it's more like it's still there. It's more like keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. He looked them up and found them so that he would always know where they are. Because it just still haunts them. He has nightmares of them coming for him all the time still. So, but they also are plotting themselves. And through all the time that they've spent with Kevin and with Buzz, they know that there's a rift in the family. And so they begin to concoct a scheme that involves Buzz to knowing that they want, Buzz kind of like wants revenge, not revenge, but like feels like he wants to hurt his brother for, I haven't worked out all those details, okay? But they begin to form their own plan to rob Kevin at Christmas time on a year when the family has finally told Kevin, we've been coming here all the time for Christmas. We're finally going to take a trip ourselves, and you're going to have to like fend for yourself. And so this gives the wet bandits time with Buzz to formulate a plan to cut, because Buzz is the inside man. He knows how to get around Kevin's security so that they'll be able to cut the power and rob him blind. Now, Buzz doesn't want his brother hurt. Buzz wants to just mess with him in the worst way possible. Meanwhile, Buzz has had a family. And one of the kids is not like the rest of them. He's more of like a Kevin was when he was a kid. And he has heard all these stories growing up about how Kevin took on these bandits not once, but twice. And so he really looks up to his uncle, even though his uncle tells him, look, this really screwed me up. You don't want to do what I did. I did what I did to protect myself, to protect my house, and I'll still do it to this day, but it's not something that I'm proud of. So you really shouldn't look up to me. But that really doesn't, the kid doesn't feel like he has a place in his own household. He feels left out because Buzz sees that this kid is more like Kevin and is doing the same thing that he did to his younger brother before. Now he's doing it to his son, kind of not seeing, the mistakes that he's still making. Now, this is where you get the Home Alone part, where Kevin's going to be home alone and they're going on that trip and their kid decides to dip out. And they don't know it until they're already gone. And in the night, I don't know how many days this would be over and how long it would take. But this, like I said, just the general idea that the bandits working with, setting up this plan from the inside with guys that work at the facility that are all looking for a payday because they know how much, like everybody, Kevin's house is kind of like a big, like, think Tom Hanks in Big, where he's got all the cool stuff that, a kid could ever want. In some ways, Kevin hasn't really grown up. And that they could just rip this guy off for, and everything. But see, what they also don't know is that, they do kind of want to hurt Kevin. So on this night, the kid shows up at, that he never left with the rest of the family, and he's stayed behind at Kevin's house. And Kevin doesn't know how to reach anybody because the power is cut. All the security goes down, and he ends up in kind of like lockdown. Kind of like his home becomes kind of like a panic room. It's like the fail-safe if the security goes down. Basically, he can't get out and nobody can get in. But they know how from Buzz how to get in eventually. And he knows there's only a certain amount of time before they break in. And this is where we find out, like, without all the security, what can Kevin do to protect his home? Again, and now he's got his brother, his nephew, to have to take care of in this situation. And one of the things that you touch on earlier is there's a special room in the house that nobody goes in. Nobody has access to but Kevin. And on the door is a picture of his dad who passed. And so people just kind of figure that's a special place where Kevin goes to think about his dad and all that stuff. But nobody, what really is behind that door is all the stuff from the first movie that he used to attack the Wet Bandits, amongst a whole other bunch of things that he just kind of collected. And throughout the rest of this movie, it's them setting up new traps for all these people that are coming to rob Kevin. And they just didn't expect him to be ready, or how he could be prepared quickly. And it's all really a movie about how the family, like the mother figures out that Buzz is up to something when the kid goes missing. I think I've had an idea in there where the kid finds out that there was something going on, and that's why he stayed behind to tell Kevin. Like, he hears his father with the plans, but by the time he can't get out, it's too late. Everything has come down, and they leave. They've already gone, you know. And, you know, Catherine O'Hara's character finds out through everything that once they're where they need to be, what's going on, and finds out what Buzz did. But this is basically, Buzz doesn't stick around because he needs an alibi to say that he wasn't in on it. And the Wet Babysitter, the Wet Bandits don't care. Like, they just want revenge. And the rest of the group that's in there that's going to try to rob Kevin, they don't really, you know, they're just there for the money. And that's basically, you know, like I said, in the end, Buzz and Kevin find out, like, how to, like, you know, more about reconnection of family. And Kevin, through his son, his nephew, finding out all the things that Buzz feels about, you know, the rift between them and the father-son relationships that were missing, and all these things that actually try to bring the family closer together by the end of the movie. So I haven't worked out traps or anything like that. This is just a basic general idea for a movie that they could do. And now I realize that this is highly unlikely that anybody would ever take me up on this or any kind of part of this idea. I just think that if you're going to do more Home Alone, do it in a way that brings back like that old How They feeling. And I think that even though elements of this haven't been worked out, I think it's a pretty good idea as far as not doing a reboot and just continuing on with the story of where it would be now. And still, you know, you'd have like stuff for the kids with another kid in there and family stuff and all the nostalgia you could remember, plus making it bigger. So anyway, that's my idea. Let me know in the comments section what you guys think of this. And maybe should I be reaching out to people, possibly Macaulay Culkin himself on Twitter or something, or I was thinking about reaching out to the guys on Red Letter Media who work with him all the time, and they're in Milwaukee, which is only about a couple of hours from where I live right now. I know that this is all just speculative, and you know, I'm reaching here maybe, but I think it's a great idea. And whether or not anything ever happens from this, I just want it out in the ether for you guys to bounce out the idea of. And just in case somebody tries to steal the idea, I have video proof of the idea. So I'd say like and subscribe and all that stuff like I just did. I just said like, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. But really mainly, let me know what you guys think in the comment section of this idea for a Home Alone sequel that ignores all the other ones and continues on with the story of Kevin McAllister and his family and the Wet Bandits. So, and like I said, Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern would be in it, but more of a limited, in a more of a limited way. That way, you know, you wouldn't have to pay, they wouldn't have to do too much to move out of their schedule, even though I don't know what Daniel Stern's doing right now. And Joe Pesci came out of retirement for Irishman. I don't know if he'd come out of retirement for this, but, you know, who knows. So, this is Robert Smirking Interview saying thanks for listening to my silly idea about Home Alone, and have a great night.